On August 8th, 2023, a Google document was posted by artist Tara Welker onto Twitter. The document contained information regarding alleged abuse carried out by individuals such as Chris Neosi, Team 4-Star, and most notably, creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, LittleKuriboh. The document alleged that LittleKuriboh was knowingly friends with predators and was actively defending them. But in reality, none of this was true. In fact, it was an elaborate scheme crafted by someone who was previously friends with LittleKuriboh, a person who, driven by rage, sought revenge through multiple years of harassment, manipulating abuse victims, and indirect attacks. This is the story of Patrick, better known as ShadyVox, and how he orchestrated a hate campaign against LittleKuriboh for years. First, a bit of context. Blake ShadyVox Swift, real name Patrick, is a British online musician, composer, and voice actor. ShadyVox originally started out on a YouTube channel named Shaw Stealer 2, where he made several Lion King parodies.
The coupon book doesn't expire until next Tuesday. What is your mission?
I will enter the restaurant and order a burger with mozzarella.
Yes, and what have I taught you?
This offer is limited.
And what must you say?
Hold the pickles!
This channel is probably his most popular one, having a whopping 153 million views altogether. After this, Shady would create the YouTube channel we are all familiar with today, ShadyVox. On this account, he'd post his music and most notably episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the Abridged series. He made these videos with X the Dark One, another YouTuber he was friends with. These videos were also very heavily inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, a series of YouTube videos made by Martin Billany, better known as LittleKuriboh. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series is a fan parody of the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. It was created in 2006, and at the time of writing, is still going on to this day. Through these parodies, Shady and Martin would become quick acquaintances. In fact, Martin himself would voice in several episodes of GX Abridged.
I always lose! Stupid books! Get off my desk! No one likes you anyway! I study and practice, but nothing works. I wish I could find the strongest duelist in the world. I would copy their deck, and then I'd beat everybody. If only I knew who it was. I've got it! Arson!
Shady would also voice Jaden in several of Martin's videos too, the most notable one being Yugi vs. Jaden Battle, which, to this day, is the second most popular video on Martin's channel. Things seem to have been going well after this, however, these good times would not last, because in 2014, Shady would leave GX Abridged. While I can't find anything from Shady himself, several sources state that this happened because Shady wanted to focus more on his music career. After this, Shady's role in GX Abridged would be replaced by someone else, and in 2018, GX Abridged would finally be cancelled, stopping just shy of the first arc of the anime. Shady would begin to separate himself from Yu-Gi-Oh! And moreover, abridging as a whole. Instead, Shady would begin to participate in professional voice acting. A notable animation that Shady voiced in is Tome, Terrain of Magical Expertise, an animated web series created by Chris Neosi that Shady, as well as Martin, voiced in.
Well, it's about time.
You know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
About how you find screaming at the top of your lungs to be an effective opening attack.
Don't tell me how to play my game!
Shady was an incredibly talented individual, and him moving on from abridging can only be seen as a reasonable progression, considering his amazing skill set. Shady would begin to record several music covers as well. The most famous one, and the one I'm sure most of you have heard of, is Don't Mine at Night. He would also start several music projects, such as Scratch 21, and most notably, Canary. On August 8th, 2023, artist Tara Welker released a Google document onto her Twitter account, stating,
"This is an update on Chris Neosi, aka Kirbopher, Will Bobian, aka Bryn Mations, Martin Billany, aka LittleKuriboh, and Team 4-Star, and a decade of abuse. There's things that are either hard to find or haven't been revealed before. This is everything.
Tara states that the purpose of this document was to expose LittleKuriboh for, quote, protecting various pedophiles and serial abusers over the years. Tara starts off by talking about certain songs Shady made, specifically ones made under his music project, Canary. These songs voiced outright yet vague anger at Martin. Tara was name-dropped in one of these songs, as she was supposedly an advocate for many people who were allegedly hurt by Martin. She then mentions having received an audio file from an email address she did not recognize several years prior. This audio file came from Shady, which contained audio of himself discussing his anger with Martin, following an event he was, quote, okay with. This is the audio in its entirety.
Hi, Martin. I'm just going to record this, and I'm going to let this run, because I can't find myself to be calm enough to type out something that I'm not going to regret, and I feel that I'm better at talking. That's a fucking lie. 21 and 18? No. I was 18 at Otakon 2010, the convention that you and I performed King of Rhymes together. And I was there with Hannah, and you know this. This was maybe a week or two back after I got back from Otakon, when I found out on his laptop through the chat logs. And I remember the exact same conversation. Louise saying to X, please don't tell Shady we had sex. And the response was, don't worry, babe, I don't think he has any intention of asking. Now, I know that word for word. I'm not happy with the fact that I know that word for word, but that image has been burned into my brain. So I can say with 100% confidence that if he's saying it's 18 and 21, it's a fucking lie. That is not the case at all. I am asking you to please do the math here. I understand he's your friend. I understand you want to back everybody up, and I understand that you want to be neutral as you can, and you want... I'm trying to give it you as honestly as I can. I have no fucking dog in this fight here. I'm not overly concerned with the fact that he's trying to convince you otherwise. What I'm concerned with is that he's lying to give himself a better image. But this isn't something new to me. This isn't something that he hasn't done before. I met Louise when I was at college. I was 18, she was my younger year. 18, she was 17. When I went to Otakon, when was that? That was August. I was 18 because my birthday is in December, so I hadn't hit 19 yet. So she was 17. I found out through talking to Hannah, when I passed her the chat logs, she looked at the dates, she said it happened at Otakon. I would have been 18, Louise would have been 17, and Tom would have been 24 or 25. What fucking ever difference is, it is a hell of a change from 18 to 21. But I can't sit here and fucking bicker with you about the semantics if you're not going to listen to me, and you're going to play devil's advocate now as if this age change suddenly changes everything. It's a stone-faced fucking lie, and I'm done with this conversation. I don't want to have this anymore. So just take whatever you want to get from this, and whatever road you decide to go with, that's your prerogative. I don't care. I'm annoyed, I'm pissed, and quite frankly, I feel fucking betrayed.
Now, what was the event that Martin was okay with, you may ask? The event in question was X the Dark One, who you'll remember from before, allegedly getting a minor drunk in his home before sexually assaulting them. This alleged event, as well as other, quote, deeply concerning things, were the true reasons as to why GX Abridged would be eventually cancelled. Tara claims that Martin was fully aware of the event, and, more importantly, the age of the person that X had supposedly assaulted. After this, Tara attaches several links to tweets where LittleKuriboh was being friendly with X, most notably one where he is seen reprimanding Shady for a supposed poor treatment of X. This was stated to be after he, quote, protected a whole clusterfuck of terrible people.
Hey everyone, I've decided it's at X the Dark One Appreciation Day, so please take a moment to send him some of your love.
A late chime into this, but whatever. X is someone who I've known for half my life. We've cried, laughed, argued. We have always somehow made it past impossible times and grown stronger. He's someone I can trust and love. My life would certainly be darker without him.
This whole tweet was made as a result of your poor treatment of the guy. You don't get to be a part of this.
The next section of the document speaks on the wrongdoings of Super Psy Guy, real name Brian Bubane. I will not be getting into the meat and potatoes of it, as he is not the main focus of the video. However, for the sake of context, Psy Guy was someone who was outed for the abuse he carried out against a myriad of people, mainly to minors. But back to our main topic, Martin was a part of a podcast called Yugioh, a podcast that Guy and Crikey Dave, another person who had been outed as a predator, were members of. Martin is accused of having witnessed an absurd amount of events while on the podcast. This includes, but not limited to, a doxing attempt, Guy grooming minors, and the abuse of Liz, one of Tara's friends. When she and Liz reached out to LittleKuriboh for help regarding the situation, he refused. The reasoning for this was due to him feeling suicidal, and as a result, he chose to completely divorce himself from the situation. Tara claims that these suicidal thoughts were nothing more than a manipulation tactic and an excuse for his inaction.
To reiterate, public image is all that matters here. Once consequences start happening, it's all but guaranteed this tactic will start. It happened to me, it happened to others. Anytime he has had to axe anyone because it had become untenable, it has been silent, with no mention of his involvement or extended defense/silencing of people.
Tara links to several more tweets showcasing LittleKuriboh associating with abusers and people who were outed from the podcast. The document also alleges that LittleKuriboh was friends with, as well as a defender of, Chris Niosi, better known online as kirbopher. For context, Christopher Niosi is a prolific voice actor and animator who has voiced in several different series and games, most notably voicing Reagan Arataka in the English dub of Mob Psycho 100. Chris is also someone who is outed for being both emotionally and sexually abusive to his partner, among several other things. Tara states that Martin and Team 4-Star, a YouTube channel most known for creating Dragon Ball Z Abridged, dropped Chris the moment they realized their efforts to defend him would not work anymore. The document concludes with Tara stating that several people knew about the events presented in the document, making emphasis on both TFS and LittleKuriboh.
In case you feel the need to ask, who knew about all this? I'm going to be blunt. All of Team 4-Star knew. Martin would regularly tell others to stay silent or delete tweets. His spouse knew, Takahata 101 knew, Kaiser Neko knew, and would actively be rude to anyone who mentioned it to silence them. Chris Niosi knew. Everyone knew.
The claims made in the document are pretty horrifying, to say the least. To summarize, Martin and his friends were being accused of covering for several sexual abusers and predators. This was a pattern of behavior that took place over several years, and due to his refusal to reprimand these people, it caused even more victims to be made. From the looks of it, LittleKuriboh was almost, if not just as bad as the people described in the document. As far as I can tell, Martin did not respond immediately. In fact, the first person to respond was Kaiser Neko, the founder of Team 4-Star. On the same day Tara's document dropped, he published a Google document titled, Addressing the Allegations. Kaiser starts off by saying that he never attempted to protect any sort of predator, creep, or anyone who had done anything of that sort. And, more importantly, he made absolutely no secret of revealing that he and Martin barely even knew Guy, and as such, felt that it was not necessary to publicly condemn him. However, when it came to addressing their relationship with Chris Niosi, the explanation was a bit more complicated. Kaiser elaborates on the situation, saying that by the time that Chris had been exposed, he had become a close friend of many. Following his call-out, Chris reached out to Kaiser to explain the situation, but as things progressed, Kaiser and many others had begun to distance themselves from him. Kaiser closes out the document by saying this.
The accusations of TFS knew and protected Niosi frustrate me, because I'd seen his struggle at being a better person and believed in him. We made the mistake of continuing to associate with him, and that ultimately hurt us all and those involved with us. We're not going to disassociate with Martin because he fucked up by having shitty friends when he was younger, just like we did. Just like many of us do. Martin is a good person, with a kind heart, who has been through hell and back just trying to make do. Regardless, we do still believe these people were hurt, and we are truly sorry for that. Please, take care.
Though, just as quickly as Kaiser responded, Martin would too. Later that day, he released a Google document titled, My Response to the Accusations. Martin repeats many of the points in Kaiser's document, and as such, we won't be going over them. Not mentioned in Kaiser's document is Crikey Dave. Martin elaborates, explaining that the photos he had taken with him were grossly recontextualized. In actuality, these were photos taken at a convention, and by that time, he had already stepped away from the podcast, and just like Guy, Martin barely knew Dave. His relationship with Chris Niosi was very similar to Kaiser's. Chris had introduced LittleKuriboh to his partner, and as such, they became very close. Though, when Chris's ex-girlfriend called him out, Martin immediately ended their friendship. More importantly, there's a section in this document titled ShadyVox's Insinuations. This section goes over the situation with X the Dark One, framed completely differently. Martin states that after being informed of X's actions, he immediately removed him from his social circle. But instead of being happy that this happened, Shady jumped to say that Martin was, quote, overreacting because X had, quote, gotten better. This is an extreme contrast to the voice note that he sent to Tara. But due to this falling out, as well as a previous one they'd had, Shady began adding cryptic lyrics in his songs that Tara spoke about. At the initial time of Martin's response being published, there was no evidence to prove these claims. However, you should still keep them in mind. Martin concludes the document by saying this.
In my opinion, Chris and Saigai are irredeemable. I've not spoken of them publicly since removing them from my life because I believe that the oxygen of attention is the last thing that they should have. I understand why someone would believe that I was actively helping these people. It makes sense from an outside perspective. I never came out and condemned them altogether. I probably should have, but I didn't. Not because I was helping it to happen, but because I genuinely didn't believe that it would help. I've been told by literally everyone in this industry that this isn't how to resolve things, but at the same time, I recognize that doing nothing also resolves nothing. If you find yourself reading this and I have disappointed you, I understand, and I'm sorry. To the victims of Saigai and kirbopher, you did not deserve the way you were treated, and I'm sorry that you went through it alone. Please take care.
Even though Martin had explained things pretty well, this situation couldn't have come out at a worse time. In the weeks following up to it, one of his cats were actively dying of cancer, resulting in its death sometime after. Many speculate that these events were timed specifically to the death of his pet, but I'd beg to differ. Instead, it is way more likely that the release of this document was timed to the release of the newest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged at the time. Even given this fact, it did not help the situation, especially when Tara confessed that she had never spoken to any of the victims mentioned in the document.
I find it deeply troubling this document's tweet name drops Martin on the allegations of silent enabling, but leaves out the other mentioned names with more serious allegations, like Shady.
I cannot speak for him or the things I had no inkling of knowing, unfortunately. Not sure what's more serious either, you'll have to be less vague. Enabling a sex pest is pretty serious, yes, and they both did it, if that's what you mean.
Just to clarify, given that you're expressing here that you can't speak for him or on things you don't know about, how did you go about verifying the things he told you about or wrote song lyrics about? Did you speak to the alleged victim before posting what supposedly happened?
3 different sources with no means of contact, unfortunately.
Then why would you post it if you had no way to contact them to get consent?
The situation was getting more and more confusing as the days went on, but no one was prepared for the bombshell that was about to drop.
A lot of people have been saying to me over the last several days, man, this week must be rough for you. Let me be clear. This was not just a week for me. This was just the climax. ShadyVox has been threatening me for 4 years.
Over the following days, Martin would begin updating his response document rapidly, specifically surrounding details about ShadyVox. Martin would begin to outline that what had unfolded was a result of ShadyVox tricking abuse victims into thinking that he was behind all of their trauma. But before I go over anything, it's important to mention that after this, Martin exclusively refers to Shady as Patrick, his real name, but for the sake of clarity, I will keep on referring to him as Shady. The situation began in April 2018, which was around the time that Shady and Martin's relationship started to go off the deep end. This started after Shady requested that Martin remove several comments on his videos. These comments made several references to Shady following several right-wing personalities, most notably people such as Milo Yiannopoulos.
Hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and ask if you can remove the comments from your video. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Do you have a link?
It's your break video. Should be one of the top comments.
I just removed that whole thread.
I'm really sorry to have gotten you involved in this, Martin.
You didn't really, it's a minor thing.
I've just been kind of freaking these last few. I'm not a good speaker, and I don't know if I can cope on the idea of having to explain it without giving fuel to someone else. What annoys me is that this person has come to your channel and video in a deliberate attempt to try and gain more traction. They're purposely attempting to get it seen and noticed.
And it didn't really work. And again, if it did get noticed, most people know well enough that a single YouTube comment proves nothing. Why are you subscribed to Milo Yiannopoulos out of curiosity?
I'm interested in his talks, and how the world just kind of flips at him.
Mate, no.
Martin, I don't subscribe to all of these ideas. Please don't think I do.
You've made your choice. You gotta live with the fact that I'm not cool with it. I'm not attacking you, I just think it says something about you that you're ashamed enough to hide your subscriptions rather than just, unsubscribe and watch this festering toad's videos manually. You panicking and rushing to me with all this in order to do damage control has only caused more damage to you in my eyes.
Martin, please. I'm trying my best to explain myself, but I don't know how to on text properly. Can we please call? I just want 10 minutes of your time, if you have it to spare.
Dude, I can pretty much tell you that literally nothing will make me think that you giving that guy the time of day is even a remotely neutral thing, let alone alright.
I don't want to convince you. I just want to talk with you. Please?
Then there's no point in discussion. I'm not going to attack you, like I said. I feel this way regardless. Look, I get it. You like some points he makes. But these points are probably to be made by innumerable other sources that aren't an actual diseased human anus. The diseased human anus you voluntarily subscribe to as if it's harmless. At best, you're just being naive. At worst, I don't even want to humor. If you want to hear some actually interesting ideas, you should probably bother to look up the alt-right, given that you claim to have no concept of what it is. It's infinitely more relevant than anything this shitty performance artist brings to the table.
You don't know me anything, but I'm saying that being able to talk to you properly helped.
Since you're on the fence about replying, how about I reply for you? Well, Milo was just trolling and it's not his fault this happened. That's willful ignorance on your part, Shady. If you don't acknowledge that people like Milo were feeding into the general resentment and vilification of the media, and that this same message could affect a deranged personality into acting against them, then you're lying to yourself. But I'm sure you found it easier and easier to do that. I won't bother messaging you anymore because it's very clear to me that you'll twist literally anything I write into a way that allows you to feel blameless or that you've done absolutely nothing wrong. But you and we both know better.
But it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that after this situation, the relationship was absolutely hanging by a thread. Though, even before this, they weren't on the best of terms. Martin alleged that he observed Shady mistreating people and abusing his friends, and, even worse, women he was intimate with. Martin perceives this falling out as the moment that Shady was going to try and find some way to come after him, purely because he was not able to control Martin. In 2019, Shady informed LittleKuriboh of X allegedly raping a minor. It seemed like a switch flipped in Shady's head, because as Martin was in the process of ending their friendship, Shady immediately began to say that both X and his victim were lying.
Martin, every single person in the group and outside it has done stupid shit in the past that we deeply regret.
Well, yes, but that's not sleeping with underage girls.
This was a very, very long time ago, and he has gotten better. You were disgusted when I told you. Fucking outraged.
I'm not, siding with them over you. I'm listening to the victim because I believe the victim is who ultimately matters. Okay, look. I'm not emotionally prepared for this, so just give me some time, okay? Please. We both need to calm down. Talk to your therapist.
Fuck you. I showed you your friend had his dick in a 17-year-old. Now you're conflicted because the girl was caught lying? Or whatever he fucking told you. Oh, no, this is so much bigger now.
Within 24 hours of this conversation, Shady sent Martin an email.
A little birdie. Thanks for the block. Your inaction is action and your action is inaction. But I know you're likely going to ignore this and think you've gotten rid of me. I know you will play this off like the other posts and accounts that called you out for associating with others a long, long time before you actually did anything. You have demonstrated that the character describing you in the Tumblr post I linked at the beginning is perhaps not all that far away from the truth. Do you still stand by your word that you can associate with him? Will you still retain a connection? I thought so much more of you. That was foolish of me.
What can be gleaned from this frankly cryptic and delusional diatribe is the mention of LittleKuriboh being, quote, called out for associating with others. Though it seems that Shady changed his tune, because later in the day, he'd send LittleKuriboh a very long apology for the aforementioned email.
My fault. Goodbye. Martin, this follow-up is not sent with malice or spite. I want to retract everything I sent you in the previous email. I seriously regret sending that email. I wish I could take it back. They were the words of a stubborn, bitter fool. That is, if you even saw it. I have literally no way to tell. I don't even know if you'll see this one, but on the off chance you do, I need to send this. Not for me, but you. I saw that you blocked me on Twitter and I flipped. My impression was that you had completely gone back on everything you said to me about accepting my messages and evidence. My impression was that you turned tail on me suddenly and abandoned your word. I sent that email with the feeling of betrayal, which is all I have been feeling consumed with recently. You're not the same person who hurt me. I'm sorry I've been treating you like it. I didn't even consider the possibility that perhaps you blocked me because I emotionally overwhelmed you and it was too much for you. That perhaps the sight of the conversation is just simply something you don't want to deal with right now, like you previously said. And the more I have been sulking and coming around from being a pissy shit, the more I take acceptance and I have seriously lapsed my judgment. I enacted on it and directed it towards you. I'm so sorry. I have assumed your intentions and thoughts. You became my target of anger and sorrow, and you've just taken it. I have bursted at you on 3 occasions in the past week, while you have been nothing but understanding and willing to listen to me. You have taken responsibility for our previous encounters and misunderstandings and apologized to me profusely. You are the exact opposite of this dark and malicious thing I keep painting you as. There is no malice in you. There is no negativity in you. It's in me. It's all in me. I can't keep fucking doing this to you. You deserve so much fucking better. I have been using you as the middleman in a situation you didn't fucking need or ask to be in. I bombarded you with more comments and posts after you explicitly told me you needed time. I dishonored your trust and word because I was too occupied with proving my point across even further. I'm sorry. You are not the character the Tumblr posts describe. I take it back, but the damage is done, and that's my fault. I said that because it made it easier for me to deal with my feelings of betrayal. Betrayal that I no longer believe is even fucking real with you. I have emotional issues very fucking clearly, and you have been nothing but supportive and assistive in these trying times. You are not the same person as the one who has hurt me. I've been treating and talking to you like anything but a friend or acquaintance. I've treated you like a punching bag and therapist while I'm struggling figuring out what the fuck I do with myself with this situation. It's not right. It's not fair. You don't deserve it. That's my fault. Why? Why the fuck are you so willing to listen and be kind and caring even in the face of overwhelming aggression and animosity? I messaged you at the beginning expecting a fuck you war. I was totally prepared to go balls to the fucking wall with you over the things you said to me on April 18th. When I didn't get that reaction and your response was, "Are you okay?" I was completely fucking thrown. I didn't expect it. It took me off kilter. I was consumed with a sense of shame and guilt. You're so fucking selfless, Martin. I didn't approach you as a friend, let alone a fucking human being. I have bursted and then subsequently apologized to you multiple times. And this is just another to the count, unfortunately. You haven't lost your cool once. I have treated you so fucking horribly while my emotions are in the garbage. I believe I am past the point of any redemption, and any further conversations past this apology will simply cause more damage. This will also cause damage, probably. But I can't leave my last correspondence to you being a nasty piece of shit. I can't keep hurting you. I can't keep putting stress and anguish and upset on you. I can't bring my bottled up trash to you expecting you to be this miracle maker and for you to fucking solve it. You don't fucking deserve this. I will not involve myself in your life any longer in any capacity. I'm sorry if this is repeating a few phrases over. I know it is. Sleep has been a struggle, and this has been plaguing my mind. I needed to apologize to you. Again, I wish I could be more like you. I wish I could listen more like you. I wish I could yield more like you. I wish I could be able to help others more like you. I wish I could be a decent person like you. I wish I could have patience like you. Your character, decorum, and personality is inspiring. I took advantage of your kindness and made you shake hands with my demons. I infected you and our relationship with my poison. I had the opportunity to have you in my life. As far as I'm concerned, I lost you. That's my fault. I caused the damage, the ache, the sadness. I recognize the problem is me. It's absolutely me. I've upped my sessions at therapy to twice weekly. I want to be better. I need to be better. Patrick.
This is very odd, to say the least. In these various situations, you'll notice a pattern of Shady's emotions being just absolutely all over the place. In a future post by LittleKuriboh, he states that following this email, the police were called. The details of Shady's interactions with authorities are unknown, but as far as we know, it ended with them politely asking Shady to cease his activities. Following this run-in with the police, Shady announced almost a whole year after it ended that GX Abridged was getting a new episode on April Fool's Day. This episode would contain various references to their conversations, specifically regarding Shady's interactions with the police. If you think this is bad, it's only gonna get worse. The rest of 2019 would be spent with Shady being absolutely dedicated to ruining LittleKuriboh's life. From contacting Tara to making several vague tweets about him having receipts against Martin, and for some reason attempting to throw Team 4-Star into the whole mix, even though they had absolutely nothing to do with his delusional harassment campaign. In November, Shady would send Martin a third email.
Coming soon. I told you I wasn't going to let you ignore this. Time to see if you actually stand for what you claim. I'm outing you and your predator, pals. This is the warning shot for you to come clean before I make my statement. It's on you. People have been begging you to do this for years, and you've mocked them behind closed doors. All documented. I know you love playing the association game. This game is for 2 players. You knew about a lot of things and did absolutely nothing. You don't get to do that. I'm not letting you anymore. But it's not just you. A lot of people are involved. I hope your subtweets make you feel better. I hope siding with predators fills you with something valid. Your enablers and folks you've told your side to won't be able to save you. I'm responding. Publicly. I don't give 2 shits what happens to my image. This is happening. You lied about me and my worldviews to people I knew and respected. You tried to damage me. You best believe as long as I'm breathing, I'm speaking. This time, though, people will listen. But I know your image is more important to you. You went for my credibility. I'm coming for yours. Speak soon.
Shady speaks to Martin as if the second email didn't even exist. He went from pages and pages of apologies to empty threats. In 2021, Shady would begin a new music project called Canary. The songs produced by Canary would indirectly allude to Shady's beef with Martin, all while not going into any actual detail about it. But I suppose it didn't matter because it's so obvious that these songs are about LittleKuriboh. He literally named one of these songs Little Cunt. Absolutely zero subtlety. A notable song from this time is Joker. Here's a snippet.
Hello, calling operator. I didn't want to do this till later. I got something you ain't heard, but I'd like to report a murder. Suspect is white, and he's got a big knife, and he's mentally unstable, and he's got someone on the table, and they're pleading and they're crying, and they just want out. All the laughing stopped as soon as I pulled my blade out. Give me a smile, show me that face, come on now. Don't be shy, what's the matter? Are you scared? You used to be a funny guy. I got 3 minutes left, and I don't wanna be a push. So take a deep breath. Oh God, I love the fucking rush. I'm disconnected, that's okay, it doesn't matter. I sure hope and pray that they can pull a name from a bloody splatter. It's a funny old game, and we both get to be the players. The only problem's you're the loser, and I get to be your savior. Do you hear that? I guess they found us, now we're talking. I hope they brought snipers and hearses, cause I still got 2 more verses, bitch. I don't give a fuck who I take with me. I will burn your whole world down. It makes me happy. It's about you and I should start this party, but I'll be
Throughout this whole ordeal, Martin had been making sure that everyone close to him was aware about the situation. This was especially important given Shady's accusations towards Team 4-Star, who, throughout the entire ordeal, had been entirely blameless. During this time, Chris Niosi, who we've talked about before, was attempting to put together a video game based on his web series, Tome. Chris was attempting to get all the original voice actors back and, as a result, emailed Martin. Of course, Martin immediately declined.
Hello, Christopher. My understanding is that you are hoping to get the original cast of TOME back to voice the game, because you have promised that the game will have voiceover despite not knowing if any of us are willing to come back. If my understanding is incorrect, then I apologize. Regardless, here's my response to the idea of coming back to play Nylock. I do not feel comfortable working on a project like this. But here's the biggest reason I don't feel comfortable working on this project, because I know you're trying to bring back all the original cast. ShadyVox has gone out of his way to tell people, including those in the callout group, that I defend pedophiles. Years back, I got on Shady's case for being a fan of Milo Yiannopoulos. I was stupid mad and I apologized for it, and he accepted my apology. But around 2019, he decided that my attempt to paint him as alt-right was not cool, so he reached out to the people in the callout post and told them that I had defended Sai and Dave, and that he knew of me defending a pedophile. If you're reading this and thinking there must be some mistake, let me assure you that I have threatening emails from him. I've talked to other people about this. My story has never changed. I'm sure if you went to Shady and asked about this, he would either A, pretend he had no idea what you're talking about, or B, say yes, Martin is a pedophile defender. I want you to think back to all the times that I've talked to you about the horrible behavior Shady has displayed. Him mistreating girls, how you would respond saying, oh, those are just fangirls who don't know any better. How you continue to enable his behavior because you weren't negatively affected by it. In case you think I'm just making stuff up, think about the history you and I have versus the history everyone else has had with Shady.
In Chris's response to him, he outright confirmed that he had known about the hate campaign Shady had been stirring up, and even Chris, long after he had been outed for abuse, was not exempt from being involved in this total mess. And here we are. That's the full story. The truth was genuinely disgusting, especially for what it represented about ShadyVox. How he twisted the narrative and how blatant his derangement became was something that no one ever expected. Shady had been manipulating this entire situation for nearly 3 to 4 years. He stood in the center of it, pulling the strings of not just anyone, but abuse victims. His lies were the direct reason as to why Kara created the document in the first place, and it was all so clear. Needless to say, what Shady did to Martin, as well as everyone else, is cruel, not to mention absolutely sociopathic. But it was still so awfully disappointing. Shady was a genuinely talented individual. He did so many amazing things that inspired so many people. All of this could have been avoided, but just as Martin said, it seemed that Shady acted this way simply because he was furious about having absolutely no power over him, unlike the people that he had mistreated in the past. While I did not mention this in the other sections, I feel that it is somewhat important to mention that another person alleged that Martin helped Psy Guy groom them. This person went by Madison, and while everything with Tara was unfolding, she took it as an opportunity to come out. If you want my personal opinion on the matter, the majority of the article highlights inconsequential and frankly irrelevant details regarding Madison and Martin's supposed friendship. To put it bluntly, there is little to no evidence that he assisted Psy Guy in grooming her. I 100% believe that Madison was groomed, but all evidence points to Martin having absolutely no part in it. Especially considering, once again, he barely even knew Psy Guy. This document appears to have not been written out of any sort of moral responsibility, but rather an act of revenge, all because Madison didn't get to be friends with her favorite YouTuber. There is obviously some sort of parasocial relationship at play here, further evidenced by Madison being referred to as a stalker, and her advances getting so bad to where LittleKuriboh's partner had to reach out to Madison to get her to leave him alone. But in the end, none of this would matter as the situation came to a close. After all was said and done, Tara deleted her original post, as well as the document attached, and gave apologies.
Martin Billany has absolutely publicly apologized, and I am personally taking it to heart. I apologize to him in return, and I also apologize to Kaiser Neko. He wanted to believe someone he was friends with, and he got burned for it. A lot of people were hurt, and I am far from the only one. I have absolutely hurt others in this, including other victims who I talked to before this happened, with my actions, including other victims related to my own abuse. Please do not judge them or discount their stories.
Though it should be noted that Madison never deleted her article or any tweet she made where she accused Martin of assisting her groomer. In fact, when he challenged Madison's accusation, she made a series of bizarre tweets which ended in her saying that she needed to log off for the night because LittleKuriboh responding to her triggered a PTSD episode. Somehow. Now, you may be asking, how did ShadyVox respond? See, here's the thing. He didn't. After the revelation that he had been harassing LittleKuriboh for almost half a decade came to light, Shady disappeared without a word. And you would expect him to respond, right? But no, Shady didn't. Nothing on his Twitter or his YouTube. Absolutely nothing. It wasn't Martin's word against his. Instead, it was Martin's word against absolute silence. As far as we know, and at least for the time being, Patrick is gone. We have absolutely no idea where he is. Of course, this doesn't mean that it's over. It's only a matter of time before Patrick comes back and tries to save face. After all, he never really did delete any of those diss tracks. The grim reality of the situation is that Patrick is just one of the many bad faith actors we see in our world. Patrick knowingly took advantage of people, and the vulnerability of those who had been horribly hurt, and he used that vulnerability to hurt those who had become his object of scorn. And all for what? He didn't have to do any of this. It was just pain on top of pain.